Hi, this is Dr. Georgia. I hope you find today's message a blessing in your life. We want to make sure that we continue to provide these video messages for you when you can't come to church, or for those of you who live in a different state, or we noticed recently we have a lot of people in even different countries who are tuning in. So if that is you and you can donate to us, we invite you to hit that donate button just below the message here. So thanks so much. All right, if you put your hand over your eyes, I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today. And now over your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today. And now over your heart, just extend out your arms. I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today. The spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that you cannot change who you are. You cannot change who you are. You can change what you've become, but you can't change who you are. And when we really understand who it is that we are a divine representation of God on the planet, we don't even really want to change who we are. You know, when Moses asked God, "What's your name?" God said, "I am. I am." That's our name too. That's our first name. I am. It's our sacred name. It's our eternal name. I am. It's a description of our divinity. As God is, I am. Everything beyond the two words, I am, that we apply to ourselves is both transitional and conditional in our life. And it always attracts more of the same. Whatever we put behind I am, that powerful word I am, attracts more of the same. I am married, I am single, I am divorced. More of the same. Sometimes what we add onto it makes us happy, sometimes it makes us sad, but it's always purposeful. I am blessed with a financial abundance. I'm always broke. I've been to both of those shores, attracting more to myself after those words, I am, in my life. I'm full of new ideas. I'm stuck in my life. I don't know what my next step is. Transitional and conditional. Those can all change. Your I am, it lives in the land of freedom. Your I am lives in the land of freedom. We entangle that freedom by putting form around it in our lives. To be in the land of freedom, we need to be able to create more dependence on source, whatever you call that source, Allah, God, Elohim, sacred grandmother tree, divine intelligence, whatever you call that. We need to have more attachment to that than we do on our ego in our lives. We need to have more on that I am that we share with Spirit. You know, we need to reconsider Jesus' words. Jesus, who understood that his Spirit and God's Spirit were one Spirit. Nobody quite understood it like Jesus understood it. That I am in me is the same as the I am in God. We need to reconsider those words, that I am the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. We need to take those words, powerful, powerful, true words, off of the form of the man called Jesus and put it on the Spirit that Jesus and you and I share with great Spirit. It is in the recognition of the I am, of who you are. That's the way, the truth, and the life. The recognition that the I am is who you are in your life. Our job is not to fight with our ego. We are not a theology that says smash the ego. The ego is bad. We don't say that. Our job simply is to rely less on it and more on Spirit. The best definition of ego I've ever heard came from Eckhart Tolle. And I'll just confess right now. I've been reading a lot of Tolle this week because for me, I needed to have something for my personal life around Eckhart Tolle. And unfortunately, when I read a book, y'all get to hear about it on Sunday. Eckhart Tolle has, I think, the best definition of ego, and that is simply attachment to form. Attachment to form. Now, we have to be careful, because sometimes if you're like me, you have this pendulum that swings. Form is bad, form is good. Ego is bad, ego is good. All should be God, nothing in ego. We want to kind of bring that back into form is not bad. We just have to have less of an attachment to that form. I saw some kids a long time ago watching, and it just had, I still remember it. It has such an impact on me. They were playing with a hula hoop. A hula hoop is simply plastic form, that's all it is. And it brought them so much joy. I can still hear their little giggles when they were doing, I can still hear them taunting each other. I can do better. I can still see that play that form brought them, that joy that form brought them. We don't want to get this mixed up. Don't get it twisted. Form is good. We just want less attachment on form and more on source. How often is Scripture in 1 Timothy chapter 8, verse 10 misunderstood, where he writes, the love of money is the root of all evil. We don't hear that, and we don't repeat it. We've repeated for years that money is the root of all evil. He never said it. Money is not the root of all evil. Attachment to money, love of money, that love of money so much that if you don't have it, you don't feel okay. That's the root of all evil. Great Lord Buddha says this, until we can release, if we want enlightenment, we must end attachment to desire. He never said desire was bad, but we think that's what it says. Desire is not bad. Attachment to desire is not bad. So if the desire is not here right now, we don't feel complete. That's the problem. Desire is a good thing. It points the way. Our founder Ernest Holmes said, love points the way, desire points the way, and the law will make it possible in our life. It's not desire, it's attachment to desire. Eckhart Tolle said in a reading that I did this week that attachment to desire in any form, whether it's emotional or physical or even spiritual, that spiritual attachment that says, my church is better than your church. All that is ego. That's the definition of ego in our life. And all form is transitional and conditional. Your spirit, which is the Spirit of God, is unchanging. It's not transitional. It's not conditional. As part of this work, we need to release our attachment to roles in our life. Roles are simply descriptions of our lifestyles, like mother is a great example of a role that we play. And for those of you who've been blessed with motherhood, you know it's one of the most beautiful and powerful roles we can ever have. And it can also be the most painful role we ever have if we're attached to the role of mother. Because if your child leaves, believe me, you will leave with it. My child was taken from me when she was 6 years old because at that time in California, lesbians could not adopt children. So this child that I caught at birth and that I was inseparable with for 6 years was suddenly taken from me. And I had no recourse. When that child left, I left. I left my joy because I was so attached to that role. I left my joy, I left my connection with others, I left my trust in other human beings. I left because of the role. I wasn't able to release and to see what else was available for me in my life. And because of that, it took me 20 years to come back to catching a glimpse that I see now of the I am that is within me. And I know there are other people who've had pain like that, who it's taken them 20 years. Why? Because we were attached to the outcome. We were attached to the role in our lives. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have pain. But when we attach that to our good, and the thing goes away, we go away from our lives. The real danger in roles, whether they're pre-established roles through societal structure like mother and father, child, person of color, or whether they're transitory roles like soldier and doctor and dancer and Christian, is that we're never sure who we're talking to. When we're in a role, we're never sure that we're talking not just to the role. And it makes human interaction impossible to speak to the I am within each other, which is, believe me, all we ever want to talk to is the I am. That's what our thirst is. That's what our desire is, to talk to the most authentic part of ourselves, the I am part of ourselves. You know, in the early stages of romance, playing a role is powerfully important in attracting people. You play the role, I'll play the role I think you want me to be, so that you'll like me and want me around, and you play the role you think I want you to be, so you'll be around. That's why dating for a long time is really critical before you make any big old commitments, because you want all the egos, all the roles to come out. The happy roles, the roles that say I'm a procrastinator or I don't do whatever it is that I'm going to do. You want all that to come out before you make any commitments in your life. Did you ever notice that there are four, he talks about this in the book, I love this book, if you haven't read it, it's A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. He talks about the four identities in every single conversation that you have with one other person. One person, two people talking, four identities. And those identities are this. My ego is talking to your ego. That's two. Then your ego is talking to my ego. That's four. And whenever we're in that space of ego talking to ego, we've lost the I am. We've lost the most important person and able to talk to. And here's the thing. Not only are we talking to the identity, we're talking to the role, we're talking about the history within those roles. Because I have a history within my role and you have a history within your role. So for instance, say your partner says, did you forget to get dog food again? And you know, look, I never forgot dog food. I never forgot dog food. But instead of having the compassion and going to the I am and saying, oh, well, she probably had grown up with people who disappointed her, and that's who's talking right now. It's her history. It has nothing to do with me. That's what we would do if we were in the I am state as listeners. But if you're like me, I'm not in the I am state. I'm in the defensive state. Or I'm in the, more importantly, the state that says, I screwed up again, I'm never enough. Now, somewhere in my head, I know I didn't forget dog food, but I still go to that place. That's the legacy of my family, that I kind of screwed up this situation. So I go there very quickly. Neither one of us have talked to the I am in each other. We've both talked to the story that we all have, our history that we all have in ourselves. Try this for 1 week. Try for 1 week to just identify, every time you're in a conversation with somebody, am I talking to a role here? Am I being a role, talking to a role? Am I being just a boss, talking to an employee? Am I just being an adult child talking to an aging parent? Who am I talking to here? Is the I am talking to this person in front of me? Or is my role talking to this person in front of me? And is that role talking back to me? One of the ways you can know about it is ask yourself the question, am I speaking different to my aging parent than I would to my best friend? Am I speaking differently to the janitor than I am to the doctor that I'm going to see this afternoon? If you can answer that question affirmatively, you've just talked and roll to roll. You haven't accessed the most beautiful part of you, which is the I am. When the I am can speak to the I am, that's the definition of namaste. The Christ in me sees the Christ in you. Now, if you're here this morning and you've been injured by religion and you just wish I wouldn't say God, I bet I get 3 emails a month from somebody in the church who says, look, stop using the word God. If you would stop using the word, I'd come to church more often. And I know that pain. I know that pain. I've been there. I've spoken in front of thousands of people saying religion is the opiate of the masses. March on. I've done that. I've done that. So I get it, that you would rather me not say namaste and the Christ, and I get all that. So just ignore all that, but know that within inside of you is the presence of God. The presence of joy. The presence of love. And the presence of love is dying to speak to the presence of love in somebody else. And it has to start with us. Let's let this church be ground zero for this week, changing the vibration on this planet by going out and holding ourselves accountable for understanding that there is an I am in each one of us. Let's take this message into prayer, knowing that there's only one power. It's the power of love. It's the power of joy. And it runs through me if I allow it to unfettered. It just goes through me. And it just pours out everywhere. People I like, people I don't like, people I don't understand. It doesn't mean I'm not going to speak my values. It doesn't mean I'm not going to speak my word. It doesn't mean I'm going to speak my intention. But I'm going to do it with love. I give thanks for that. I release this word into the law. Together we say, and so